All right, for chapter 2.2, we're going to be talking about bar graphs, circle graphs, and time series graphs. Take a second to read a bit about bar graphs on pages 59 through 60. Bar graphs, histograms, are a useful visual display for the distribution of data. However, the data must be quantitative. Bar graphs can be used to display quantitative or qualitative data. So here are a few features of a bar graph. Bars can be vertical or horizontal, as shown on the graphs to the right, and they're uniform width and uniformly spaced, meaning all of their widths are the same and all of the spacing between the bars are the same. The lengths of the bars represent values of the variable being displayed, the frequency of occurrence or percentage of occurrence. And lastly, the graph is well annotated with title, labels for each bar, and a vertical scale or actual value for the length of each bar. We also have something called the changing scale. So whenever you use a change in scale in a graphic, you want to warn the viewer by using a squiggle on the changed axis, just like that. For example, on this figure, on the one on the left, notice how the y-axis goes from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 for the age. Yet on the right graph, on the y-axis, we go from 0, and then we see that squiggle, and it goes straight to 65. So basically, this squiggle is kind of like a break in the values. So you don't have to put, like, for example, on this one on the right, go 0 through 60 because we're really looking at the data between 65 and 85. All right, a Burrito chart is a bar graph where the height represents the frequency of an event. And for these, they are arranged from left to right according to decreasing height. So what you want to remember with Burrito charts is that it's always going to be with frequency. Then we have circle graphs. So in a circle graph, we have, it's also called a pie chart. So we have wedges of a circle visually displayed, proportional parts of the total population that share a common characteristic. So for example, on the right, we have our favorite fruits, all right? And notice how if you add up each of these, so 15 plus 10 plus 30 plus 25 plus 20, you're going to get 100. All right. Circle graphs will show the ratio of each part to the whole, but not quantities. So 30% doesn't mean 30 bananas. It just means that 30% of the total fruit are bananas. And also notice how each part of the pie graph is labeled with a percentage as well as a color or image. And now we have time series graphs. So in a time series graph, data is plotted in order of occurrence at regular intervals over a period of time. Time series data consists of measurements of the same variable for the same subject taken at regular intervals over a period of time. So usually our time series graphs looks like this graph on the left right here. And they're usually like line graphs and show kind of a staggering. But it's really important that you notice on the x-axis, it's showing progression over a period of time. So which graph to use? How are we going to decide which type of graph to use? So bar graphs are the most useful for qualitative or quantitative data. Burrito charts identify frequency of events or categories in decreasing order. Circle graphs will display how a total is dispersed into several categories. And time series graphs display how data changes over time. However, it's so important that for any graph that you make, you're going to provide a title, a label on both axes, and you want to identify your units of measure. So what do graphs tell us? They tell us how data is distributed over several categories or data intervals, how data from two or more data sets compare, and lastly, how data changes over time.